What's going on, New York Giants fans? Welcome back to another video. If you guys haven't not already, hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. Turn on that notification button so you get notified instantly when a live stream pops, a video drops. Appreciate y'all. I'm going to give some updates real quickly. I kind of mixed some stuff up in terms of channel updates within the last few videos. Boys in the Big Apple staying on Friday, 8:10 p.m. But in terms of the draft stream, we're actually going to Clutch B-Ball's channel for the first round, most likely, and then we're going back on this channel for the second round. He's got some stuff to do afterwards. Shout outs to him. Thank you to Clutch B-Ball for extending the invite and letting us on his channel. That will happen, of course, on Thursday. So in this video, we're going to do another roster bubble video, and this is one of the more intriguing candidates in my opinion because of what he did late last year and the position group he is in. A lot of competition there, so we'll talk about it. But that being said, Dante Pettis is that guy. He was a second-round pick from the 49ers out of Washington in 2018. Did not work out well in his career in 2018. Played in 12 games, caught 27 passes for 467 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 17.3 yards per reception. The stats only went down from there. Played in 11 games the following season, caught 11 passes, 109 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 9.9 yards per reception. Then in 2020, for the 49ers, played in 5 games but only had 1 target. And then they cut him. Afterwards, the Giants picked him up, put him on the COVID list, and then he played in 2 games afterward. That was the Ravens game in 16 and Week 17, which was the Cowboys game where he caught a touchdown and made an infamous catch that wasn't a catch, but obviously that is not the topic of discussion right now. I really like Dante Pettis. I really like what he was at the end of last year. Golden Tate was injured, and the wide receiving core was just, this guy's injured the next week. The week after, it was a mess. And it combined with the fact that the offense was ranked 31st, not just the wide receivers, but a multitude of things came into that. And with that being said, let's go into his competition, who he's going to be matching up against for his spot, his position battle, the wide receivers. Alex Backman, the 2019 undrafted free agent out of the University of Wake Forest. Rams picked him up, they cut him, and then he signed with the Giants to a futures contract. CJ Board, he signed with the Giants last year off of waivers, and he was a special teams guy mainly, special teams gunner, but he also caught some nice passes. That I'll give to him, when Sterling Shepard was out, or when Golden Tate was out, or when somebody was out, or they needed a 4th receiver on the field for some reason. CJ Board was there and caught passes, 68.8 catch percentage. He had 11 passes caught and then 101 yards. Played in 14 games, 2 games he did not play in because of a concussion. With that being said, Derek Dillon, the undrafted free agent out of LSU from last year. Austin Mack, the Ohio State undraftee from last year, played in a couple of games for the New York Giants, caught that one big pass from Daniel Jones in Week 9 against the football team. Also to note, one of the reasons that I got pissed off with him last year, and apparently he's a good run blocker as well. We saw that on that big Daniel Jones, I think it was like 34 yards against the Eagles. That touchdown, the opening touchdown. But with that being said, the one pass that he dropped was so crucial because that was in Week 16 against the Ravens. They were an extremely tough defense, blitzing, covering on the back end. Don Martindale is an extremely smart guy with his blitzing and with his defensive scheme and stuff like that. And the Giants had absolutely no answer. Let's just put it how it is. And Austin Mack dropped a key pass on 3rd down. Now, there were other drops that game? Yes, of course. But that was one key pass that could have kept things going. But, things stopped right there. Then you have John Ross, who the Giants picked up on a 1-year contract in the Cincinnati Bengals. For years and years, we've been hearing, the New York Giants are connected to John Ross. They should trade for John Ross. Well, it finally happened. John Ross was a first-round pick, I think, out of Washington as well, if I'm not mistaken, in 2017. The Bengals picked him. He started 1 game, and he played 3, but didn't even catch a pass in his rookie year. He was targeted twice. 2018, 210 yards on 21 receptions for 7 touchdowns, played in 13 games. Then in 2019, caught 28 passes for 506 yards, 3 touchdowns, played in 8 games. And then in 2020, caught 2 passes for 17 yards and only had 1 first down, played in a total of 3 games. So there's a lot that goes into John Ross. Now, he is seen as a deep threat for the New York Giants. Not like, oh my God, he's going to be one of the best deep threats in the league. No. Like a Darius Slayton, like a guy, you know, they'll have all the focus on Galladay, but you'll have that guy running deep and you could throw a touchdown to him. You know, he's been a long ball guy most of his career from what we have seen. Now, the problem is 2 things with John Ross, and I know we'll get to John Ross in another video probably, but there's 2 things with him. He can't stay on the field, which is, you know, not good at all. And then you have his catch percentages, which are related to drops. 2018, 36.2. 2019, 50. 2020, 28.6. Now, obviously, that can also be related to maybe a quarterback throwing a bad ball. But John Ross, you look at his stats according to Pro Football Reference, he had a total of 8 drops in 2019, 7 drops in 2018, and those 7 drops in 2018 turned into 5 interceptions. So, not great for him. And then the 8 drops in 2019 turned into 2 interceptions. So, once again, not very good. And the passer rating when throwing to him is extremely low. Was higher in 2019 with an 84.4. But you look at 2020, 39.6. And then you look at 2018, 51. That's not good. But I guess, you know, they were still expecting him to be one of the best wide receivers on their roster, knowing he's a first-round pick. But that didn't turn out that way, and he probably for the rest of his career, unless something big happens, is going to be a secondary option at wide receiver. But with that being said, let's move on to some other guys. David Sills. I wanted him to make the roster last year. He was impressing in camp, but unfortunately he got injured. The Giants did not cut him because I think they had the intention of keeping him for the next year, not cutting him with an injury designation, and another team picks him off waivers. 2019 undrafted free agent out of West Virginia. He was with the Bills in 2019. They cut him and then obviously picked up by the Giants. And then Darius Slayton, the 5th-round pick out of Auburn from 2019. He's not on the roster bubble in my opinion. He could be, but he's definitely in that competition with Ross, Pettis, and some of the other guys. So I'm going to outline who can he beat and who may he have trouble beating, and then also the factors as well, kind of not how I've done it in some of the other videos. But who can he beat? I think he can beat Austin Mack, Derek Dillon, Alex Backman, and C.J. Board. Austin Mack, I think Pettis has more experience. I really like the sample size that I saw of Pettis last year. He had 4 receptions, I think, for like 76 yards and 1 touchdown, as I mentioned. Derek Dillon, he has more experience than Derek Dillon, and Dillon spent most of the season on the practice squad anyway. Alex Backman, no experience in the NFL at all, so Dante Pettis, with his experience, kind of outdoes Alex Backman in terms of that. Then C.J. Board, mainly a special teams guy. Board can actually possibly beat Pettis if John Ross does better, and I'll explain why now. Because if John Ross does better than Pettis, whether it be vertical routes or, you know, anything at all, if Pettis doesn't stay healthy or he's just not good in camp, here's how that could happen. John Ross is better, makes the roster as the 5th receiver. They keep a 6th receiver just in case. C.J. Board is a special teams guy. But C.J. Board can also be beaten because he's mainly a special teams guy. He's not necessarily, you know, a primary receiver. And Pettis does have some qualities on special teams. I know he returned a lot of kicks and punts at Washington. He did a little bit for the 49ers, but that was a total of 11 snaps, not very successful snaps either. So who can he lose to? I think Darius Slayton, David Sills, and John Ross. Darius Slayton, obviously he has more, I would say, experience in not getting hurt. Darius Slayton, you know, he's more, I would say, favorable with the coaching staff. I think that they tried overusing Slayton last year because they didn't have great receivers that could get separation, and they had to rely on Slayton. Slayton did have 2 100-plus yard games last year, but he was not the number 1. He is a secondary option, a number 2, number 3 guy. That's why I think he can beat Dante Pettis for a roster spot. David Sills, he impressed in camp last year, and he's also a good deep threat. I don't think he offers any special teams kind of availability. He could, though. I could be wrong. But I think there are possibilities that David Sills edges out Dante Pettis for a roster spot. And then you have John Ross. If John Ross stays healthy, if he contributes on offense, whether it be the first or the second team, and he also offers some special teams duties as well. So him and Pettis could definitely battle it out for that. And I'm pretty sure, once again, they came out of the same college just 1 year after the other. If I'm not mistaken, I could take a look in just a second. But here are the factors going into it, in my opinion, from what I've seen. CJ Board, good gunner on special teams in 2020. The Giants need that special teams guy. They need that gunner. In the past, it was Cody Core, Antonio Hamilton, CJ Board last year. They need one. If it's not going to be Board, it has to be some guy, whether it be a cornerback or a wide receiver. They need a gunner to cut down the return game. We saw last year where it wasn't really that great towards the end of the season. Remember the Alex Erickson return that nearly won the Bengals the game, except Jabal Sheard forced a fumble and Leonard Williams recovered it. Giants won that game by, I think, 5 points, something like that. Anyway, that was a one-possession game, but that's not the point right now. They need that gunner on special teams, and Pettis has only taken 11 snaps in his career as the gunner. That was mainly with the 49ers, never with the Giants. So that's going to be interesting. He might need to play a new position in order to make this roster. Versatility on special teams. And, I definitely have confidence that this New York Giants coaching staff will play to his benefit in the preseason. Just if they see him as a fit coming into the regular season, that's going to be a question. Obviously, roster bubble. With that being said, who's better on vertical and other routes, John Ross or Dante Pettis? As I mentioned, both have special teams capabilities, returning punts, returning kicks as well, tackling, basic stuff on special teams. It's going to be the battle of those two guys, in my opinion. It's not going to be, CJ Board and Alex Bachman. No, I think it's either going to be two combos. It's either going to be John Ross and Dante Pettis or David Sills and Dante Pettis. Or you could even say CJ Board and Dante Pettis, because all of them have, capabilities to go vertical, or also as well capabilities on special teams. Board and Pettis, that's why I put them together, because they both have capabilities on special teams. So whatever is better for the New York Giants is a deep threat. Whatever they see in the preseason, we're having preseason games, just one short of what we've had in the past, but you have to make your opportunity known. And Pettis and John Ross have had injury problems over the course of their careers, so it's going to be staying healthy, contributing on the small stuff like special teams, and they're just catching passes in the passing game and blocking in the run game. That's how you win a spot, that's how you lose a spot, whatever. But to get into specifics right now, Dante Pettis, how could he win? Well, he needs to stay healthy, catch passes like he caught from Daniel Jones, 4 of them last season, and then, play the basic role in special teams. If they ask you to return kicks, if they ask you to return punts, be that guy. Stand out on special teams. It's going to be the meaning and the divider between not making the roster and making the roster. Dante Pettis is not eligible for a practice squad spot, so he needs to make the roster or else he's going to be on the waiver wire in September. Same thing with John Ross, but obviously, once again, that will be for another video. And just some quick special teams stats for the New York Giants. They were 11th in the league with punt return average yards, 9.3, mostly steered by Jabril Peppers. And you have a lot of options on special teams for the New York Giants. Definitely coming into this year, we got Kadarius Toney, John Ross, Dante Pettis, Jabril Peppers. I don't know if there's anything else that I'm missing or anyone else that I'm missing, but if I didn't include them, I apologize for that one. They also tied for 16th last year for most fair catches with New England, of course. A total of 16 fair catches, and they finished 16th in the league with a 21.9 average on kickoffs. So they will need a little bit of a boost. Dion Lewis, whether he worked out or not, well, he really didn't. That's why he's not on the team anymore. He had a couple of fumbles, both in the special teams game in terms of the return game. One of them wasn't his fault because they literally kicked it out. But no, you can't review it for some reason. That's another discussion topic. But he fumbled both in the return game. He fumbled in the running game. The Eagles game, which was a big one. So obviously that's why he's not on the roster, but they will need somewhat of a boost in the return game. Jabril Peppers, whether it be punt returning or whatever, so they will need to add guys. And that's, once again, going to be the divider between you going to make the roster or you're going to sit on the waiver wire and wait for a team to claim you. It's going to be interesting. But it's time for a projection. Yes, it is time for a projection. Here is my projection. Unfortunately, as of right now, I see it this way. I could always change my opinion. Obviously, at the end of the preseason, I can change my opinion because I do the 53-man roster projections. But right now, I see Dante Pettis getting cut. I feel like John Ross has a little bit more capability if he stays healthy. If John Ross does not stay healthy during the preseason, it's Pettis' spot to win. In that case, like, let's just say, John Ross, he's out with something, and he's battling, meaning Dante Pettis is battling with CJ Board and David Sills for that number 5 spot. Well, it's his job to lose, essentially, because Pettis, in my opinion, has a little bit of an advantage over those two. He's more utilized on offense, or can be more utilized on offense than CJ Board, and he's got special teams, capabilities, which leaves him a little higher than David Sills. But for right now, I have him not making the roster and going on the waiver wire. I really, in my opinion, do not see them keeping 6 wideouts. It's possible. So my ideal projection in terms of a wide receiver room, obviously pending injury and my change of opinion, would be Golladay, Toney, Shepard, Slayton, Ross, and maybe Board. But Ross, once again, offers the special teams capabilities. And we haven't seen what the waiver wire looks like, so that's another projection. But if you haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe, turn on that notification button so you get notified when the live stream pops, video drops. More of these coming. I appreciated doing this video. I really like doing this video because Pettis is an interesting character in terms of a Giants roster bubble spot. Hope you guys liked the video. And with that being said, guys, peace out, see you later, and stay cool.